What's up, Pirates? Ray Talks here with Awaken TCG, and today we have our round three. We have our round three match, and we're going to go ahead and just get right into it. We're versing a Whitebeard. So round one was a Whitebeard. Round two was a mirror match, Gripple Dofy. And then round three, we have another Whitebeard. So let's go ahead and not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. This video, we're going to be doing some commentary over it, kind of giving you guys what's happening, kind of my thought process while it's happening and stuff like that. So his turn one, he goes, I think that's Nami. Yeah, Nami for one Dawn, searches a Rush Luffy. So now keep that in mind. There's a Rush Luffy in his hand. It's always good to make these mental notes and just do it at least once or twice, like back to back in your head, just to try to keep it there. Maybe later on in the game, you'll be like, do I remember what it was? And it's like, oh yeah, I instinctively thought of a Luffy in his hand, right? So it's like sometimes it's hard to keep track, especially when you're doing so much games. You're playing back to back to back, and just sometimes it's hard to keep track. But do your best. And then, so my first turn, I went and passed, and then now it is my opponent's turn two. So he goes, he actually goes 7 at life, which I take. I was deciding if I wanted to trigger or not. I'm not sure what I grabbed there. And then he plays another Nami. So far, this Whitebeard's turn has been pretty decent. 2 searches. He gets a Rad Beam and a Luffy. He probably can't complain at all. I did win dice roll, so I did get the second curve, which obviously you want to see in this matchup. Obviously, I have the 4 cost of vanilla, which I love to run over the Brooks, to be honest. You don't see blue matchups as often as you would a Whitebeard. So, that's my personal preference. If I do run into a blue, it's gonna be real hard to win. But I'll take my chances with the bracket. And so yeah, my turn 2 was just 4 cost of vanilla, and now it is my opponent's turn 3. He is at 5 Dawn. He's debating here what he's going to do. And in this position, I feel like I'm already in the front foot because my deck is so defensive. And like even in this matchup, I don't mind going down to 1 HP, with all the, or 1 life with all the counter that I do have. And so he swung 5 at me, and I knew he was going to swing with his leader still. So I was like, you know what? Let me counter out of this one here. And then I go punk and rest the other one. Trying to save my life. I think I already had my plays set up, so I didn't mind doing that. Play super defensive, because at the end of the day, the Whitebeard wants to get you low on life. And so I knew I was going to have a 5k swing regardless with my leader for free. So, that's what I went ahead and did that. I think saving your life early on, if your hand allows you to, is super crucial in this matchup as well. I think that's one thing I did forget to mention. So then I go 6 at life, and he takes for 6. So I'm like, okay, that's perfectly fine with me. I go Shiki on curve, this is probably your perfect curve on Whitebeard. You play Bins on turn 2, you play Shiki on turn 3, and then your next turn just becomes amazing. And at this point, he doesn't have a single unit on board, which obviously is rough to see for the Whitebeard. But sometimes you just can't help it. You're running Nami package, Straw Hat, or Straw Beard, and so it is what it is. I go ahead and take life, and I'm debating if I'm going to trigger here. I'm not sure what it is, but he swung 7, so I didn't want to use any cards in my hand. I'm running kind of low, but I think I have my plays set up, so I'm perfectly fine with. And so I don't use the trigger. He plays Thatch on curve, and he is down to 1 life. So in this position, I'm perfectly fine with, as you guys can, see here very soon. It is my turn 4, so I'm at 8 Dawn total, with a Bins on board, a Shiki on board. So I have a lot of pressure here. I'm debating what exactly I want to do. In this situation, without knowing what I have in my hand, because I low-key forgot, I would probably sugar the chopper and pressure life. Or if I have a Luffy, probably go Luffy. Luffy into another Bins, Luffy into a Uta. That way I can rest the chopper on one of these turns. But also pressuring life here with no Dawn up means I'm going to get a lot of cards out of his hand. And so a sugar on the chopper is not bad, because you can go sugar on the chopper, and then as soon as you tap it, swing 5 at the chopper. If depends if you have another play. If not, you can attach 1 to lead, swing 6 at lead. But kill the chopper if you're not swinging 6 at lead with your lead, and then you can go 6 with Bins, 7 with Shiki, and so that's 3 cards. If you rest the chopper here, that's 3 cards he has to give you. Obviously, he can take one of the hits, so it would technically only be 2. And so I'm kind of testing here what he's going to do. I know next turn he can play Whitebeard, so I just go 6 at life to see what he's thinking, right? If he takes, okay, he probably doesn't have Whitebeard or he doesn't plan to play it, so he's going to take it for free. And he blocks out. So, him blocking out gives me, a bit of information. Like, okay, maybe he wants to save it for a Whitebeard turn. So that's my signal to just, okay, I had the sugar. I'm going to go for, some cards in his hand here. Because this play here is probably an aggressive play, but it's one that needs to be made, right? So if he's trying to Whitebeard, get him down to 0, make him pay. So I end up putting 2 on Shiki, and I swing 9k at him, and he's just gonna go ahead and take that. Probably did not want to give me 2 cards because he's at 6, and 2Ks goes to 10, yeah. And so I have 4 Don left. Maybe I'm going for a 4 drop or maybe a Nami here. I'm thinking, but yeah, so far so good. This match has been looking amazing. Like, just having that Bins up and that Shiki for an extra turn has just been pretty massive. Like you can see, the Whitebeard has a ton of hand, but he has no board at all except 1 Thatch. That's going to be, blockable very easily. And then after that, I have, a potential 10 drop turn coming up, right? So if he does swing Thatch on his turn, it could come back to bite him. And so that's probably the worst part about this matchup is, okay, so I'm playing the Nami and searching, and I find a bin, so that's amazing. I think the worst part about this matchup is, these turns where you Thatch, and then you want to swing with the Thatch, that my next turn is going to be a 10 cost, right? If you're playing Thatch off curve, my next turn is going to be 9 cost or 10 cost Dofy, right? So it literally punishes you. If you play Thatch on 7 and you swing with it on 9, now my next turn is 10 Don, right? And so it's just, it makes it really hard for the Whitebeard to, set anything up for the most part. I think in this matchup, maybe an ace, regardless if you have units to kill or not, is pretty nice. Going ace on curve, just, rushing me down. But from Whitebeard's perspective, I can't give you too much advice. Like I said, I know what to do in this matchup. I don't really play Whitebeard. I wouldn't really know what to do on his end, but I'm asking for his card count. I think he had like 12 or something ridiculous still. And so these are the last couple of turns that kind of go pretty slow because you really need to think about your turns here. Is he going to go for my board? Is he going to try to whittle me down and go for a lethal turn? So he has a lot of options, and these are where the lines get skewed because there's so many routes you can take on what to do, and you try to decipher what the best play is. So he went 8k at my Bins, and I just Union Armada. That Union Armada is a 1-of, and so is that Shiki. But they're both searchable, so running 1-of does not feel bad at all. Seeing the Shiki on curve, nasty work. Seeing that Union Armada at a perfect time like this is amazing because now, 1, he can't ace. The Bins can't die. The Shiki can't die. Whatever he plays is getting instant rested because I have a sugar. And then he can't go for my Nami. So the only thing he can do here is swing at my life, right? That's all he can do, or establish board. But if now him just establishing board means my next turn is going to be super aggro because I have these 3 units now I can swing with and my leader, and I have a sugar here. Not to mention if I 10 cost, I just blow up his whole board, right? Technically, I blow it up. They're like KOs, right? Because, you stall a whole turn without them on the board. And that basically wins you the games. And so here he goes Otama. So amazing bait on top of that because 1, he loses a 2k out of hand. And 2, he's going to swing at my sugar potentially, right? So that saves me some defense. That's like a pseudo blocker. So, moments like these are very crucial, right? So you just got to find perfect timings like this on when to play the sugars. So here I took his leader swing and he lost it a 2k. For 1 2 cost sugar of mine, that did its job. you know, it rested the chopper. It did what it had to do. And then he goes, plays the Luffy and swings 6 at me. I'm going to go ahead and block out. I want to keep 2 life just in case I go down, you know, to 1 life potentially. And I never want to hit that 0 mark with that Luffy on board. And so now this is one of my big turns. Yeah, everything is going right for me here. My opponent obviously still has a huge hand, but this is where it's going to start to whittle down for him. So I go 5. I'm pretty sure I go 5 at the Nami here. I have no other target. Yep, we go 5. He takes, and then we go ahead and go... I'm pretty sure we go 6 at lead here. Because regardless, he'd protect the Luffy. So honestly, the target here doesn't really matter. And you can see me. If you see me right here, I'm counting down. I have 3 separated, and then I like put 7 over here. It's kind of just like a little bait thing I do. So my opponent kind of like sees that and it's like, oh, he's putting, you know, 3 down and then 4 down, which is 7. And then he has, you know, these other 3 separate. Okay, maybe he doesn't have it, right? And so, you know, little things like that. Obviously, I'm telling you guys now. So if you end up ever versing me, it's gonna be like, okay, well, you know, you're gonna be knowing what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, I did have the 10 drop, and so I rested the Luffy, the Thatch, and the leader. And so now at this point, he has 10 Dawn up, but he has a blocker that he doesn't want to swing with because I'm nowhere near close to lethal, and it has 1,000 attack, and then Notama, which obviously he's never going to swing with because it has 0 attack. So his only plays here are to A, try to establish another thing on board, and maybe add more blockers, like get rid of the Otama, add another blocker, and keep some Dawn up to play defensive. Okay, so exactly. So he goes ace. He goes ace and plays aggro, which I agree with. I agree with this play. Definitely agree with this play here. So he's swinging 7 at the bins. I'm fine with taking that because he, you know, he attack power -3, 3,000. So I was not going to save that. I just want to keep my cards in hand. But I'm still in an amazing position because I have the 10 cost. And so he still has 3 Dawn up. I have 2 options here. Sugar. Yeah, Sugar. I was going to say Sugar the chopper, or drop another 10 cost and chain it. But I think I'm looking at his hand size and I'm, you know, debating on what I want to do. Okay, so as you can see, I played the Sugar for 2 to get rid of the blocker. I played the Nami to search. I got a 2K, which is amazing. And then I left 7 Dawn open because you guys can finish the rest there. So I think, but before I do play the Luffy, I think I just finished my swings off, I believe. Yeah, so I'm going 7K here. I'm going 7K. I think I go 7K at the at leader. I just want him to just give me cards. You know, I don't want him to give the opportunity to, you know, just trash a unit for free. I want cards. I want cards out of hand because I know once I play this Luffy Uta combo that I cannot die next turn and I will have lethal set up. So he gives me a 2K, which is amazing. Got another card out of his hand. And I'm pretty sure I should go 10 here first at lead, and then I play the Luffy. Yeah, so I'm going 10K here at lead because, like I said, I just want cards out of his hand. And right now he's going to have to give me 3 cards, right? So 3 cards is going to put him down to like 4 cards or something like that for his turn, and then he's going to draw to 5. But at that point, on my next swing, with all these units on board, Shiki, Nami, Doffy, it's going to be almost impossible. Not to mention I have a Sugar on board, so if he decides to play something early, something's getting rested. That's basically checkmate. You can't play anything on board until you finish your swings. So he's debating on what he wants to do here. He does have 3 Dawn up, but it's still a 10K swing. He could potentially go and give me 2 cards only with a guard point and a 2K, which, you know, is completely fine. I'll take that. It gets an event out of his hand and a 2K. He is thinking here. Yeah. Oh, so he double guard points. So at that point, I know he is completely bricked. Once he double guards points, I'm like, wait, how many cards in hand? I'm doing the math. I'm like, okay, I have 7 Dawn up. If I just go 12 and he has, let's say he has a guard point or a rad beam. I think he had already used the rad beam, but I'm doing the math here in my head. I'm like, you know what? If he has the rad beam, which I think I do remember him seeing grab a rad beam, I'm like, I just lose. So in that case, I just did the more optimal play was play Luffy into Uta. Because if I had swung 12, he goes Rad Beam 2K 1K, right? Which would take him to 4, 5, 6, 7, which would be 13, and I'm swinging 12, and then I'm open for lethal because, 3 cards in hand. He would have 4 big swings at me, and so I play it safe, go for the Luffy here. Those are the turns where you need to take your time and not rush it. As soon as he gives me the double guard point, in my head, I'm telling you, I was like, oh, wow, he just over countered there. Let me try and, think of something. Wait, how much did he over counter by? I swung 10. He over countered by 2K, which is not bad, but that's probably what his best option was. It's still an extra 2K counter that he's giving me that, he doesn't need. So he swung at my lead, and I just took. I know next turn I have lethal, so there's no point for me to give him any cards. Especially because I want to keep these cards now to protect my units. I want to protect my 10 cost Doffy if he ever decides to swing at it. Because I'm going for lethal next turn. As you can see, he has 5 cards in hand. 5 cards in hand is never going to get him to survive, what is currently on my board. And even if he decides to play a blocker, it's getting arrested like this with the sugar. And so at this point, he has to go for lethal or it's checkmate. But if you look at my board, there's just no way he's going to get through. He goes 679, 9K. He's going 9K at my leader. So I block, down -1. I go ahead and rest the Otama just for fun. I play 2, Spiderweb, restand. And I give a 1K to keep it alive. Like I said, I'm going for lethal. And so I just want to make sure that I give myself the best chance to win. And so the reason why I Uta'd and rested the Otama there is just in case this Whitebeard had, 3 Makinos in hand. And he can just buff up the Otama to 9K with 3 Dawn and, surprise me out of nowhere. And so I swung, he swung, what did he swing? He swung 8 and I blocked with the Luffy and gave him a 2K. And then he swung life 8K and I just took, right? There's no point for me not to take. I did have cards in hand where I could have just countered if he decided to swing 8 at something else. But yeah, at this point, no blockers, 5 in hand. Just give me 1 card at a time, right? So I go 6 with Uta. He has nothing in life. So give me 1 card with 1 attack. So he Red Hawks gives me the sugar. And that's a bad sign. Like if you're not blocking out that with 1K, right? So here you can see he's just giving me an event and this game's over. It gives me a Rad Beam for 8, and I just went off the Shiki. Both Luffy's still in hand. Yeah, he had 3 Luffys in hand. Didn't see his on curve play that he wanted to see, and that game was kind of dominant. I got second. I won the dice roll. I saw the bins into the Shiki. And yeah, I think just from the beginning, I kind of dominated the whole thing. I think I'm going to commentate over another Whitebeard match later on down the road. I forgot what round it is, but that is going to be the end of this video. I'm trying to do my best. All right, guys, but thank you so much for watching. That was round 3 of my winning run at Core TCG Online Regional. With Gurple Doffy. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm doing my best here to commentate. I'm kind of looking over here. I don't know if I should be looking at the camera, but I'm doing my best with these. I hope you guys can kind of see my thought process going into things and pick my brain on these matchups, because honestly, I played super well, and I feel like for most of the matchups, I was always playing ahead, right? But thank you guys so much. Make sure to like this video. Comment down below what you're going to be playing this weekend at the online treasure cup, because I will be there playing as well. Gurple Doffy, of course, and then subscribe to our channel. Thank you guys for all the support. The giveaway video is coming very soon, so more details will be coming out later down this week. Me and Jim are going to be talking tomorrow about how we're going to be doing it, and so we'll get the information to you guys as soon as possible. But I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.